Today it's off and running in the pruning trees, so we need these and we need these. All right, so here it is. It's in the winter. We finally lost the leaves on just about everything. The only thing that seems to want to hang out right now just seems to be, strangely enough, a peach further down the hill. Anyway, the method we use now, the thing that was frustrating for me early on learning how to do pruning is that nobody seemed to ever have a methodology. There was never a straight up technique. You would watch a guy do it and he would say, well, I'm cutting this one, but there was never any pattern in which you could go by it. So when I came across people like, let's say, Paul Gauci and Stefan Sobkowiak, which, by the way, folks, if you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel, believe me, and you want to learn about trees, that's the guy you want to check out. And plus, there's a really good documentary with him in it, very good documentary called The Permaculture Orchard. And we basically follow a lot of his patterns, although we throw a bunch of other people into it as we go about it. Let me also say that in permaculture, in many ways, you're kind of like a decathlete. You're like a mixed martial artist. And what I mean by that is it's basically a toolbox. So, for example, a decathlete just doesn't know everything. He's not the best in the world at the hurdles or the high jump or anything else. They have coaches for every little thing they do. And that's what we do in permaculture. We get coaches for, let's say, tree pruning, or whether it's pasture management, whether it's raising chickens. Those are all different parts. Like I said, it's like the fingers of your hands. And so we look for those coaches out there that are going to help us fine tune things. When we're seeing things at a more scattered view, they help us to fine tune it in the things that we need. And pruning is one of those things. So with that said, if you look at his methodology and doing it, and we've been doing it this way ever since that video came out, ever since I learned about him. And to give you an example, that in our place, at one of the places in Texas where we did it, we pruned a set of trees in accordance to his method, and then we left the rest of them alone. And it was astonishing, the growth that happened by using his method. Now, I'm not going to be able to get it all out here, but you could definitely find it by looking at his work. So we're going to use this one as, and maybe a couple of others as examples, where the LBL, L as in Lima, B as in Bravo, L as in Lima. So the low branches, the ones that are below, let's say 42 inches, okay? You want to prune those off. B, the branches like this one here, it's competing for the top anyway. If it's bigger than 50% of the base that it's attached to, then you want to prune it. And then the other L stands for the ones that are in the lane or the line. So my trees are going this way and this way, right? And if I have multiple lanes going this way, I would want my tree not to be this way or even this way, because I got to get in there to work, right? You almost want it looking like an X-wing fighter. You want this thing either going this way or maybe that way. You get it? You dig? So that's exactly what we're looking for. So the first thing we do on the things this one here, I know it's got to go away because to say 50%, it's like 80% of the branch that it's attached to. Okay, this healing collar down here, I'm gonna clip this sucker right here, and bam. Okay, so folks, now when I take that down, it's kind of critical that I pay really, really close attention to how much I take off, because you don't want to take off anything. You don't want to take off more than a third of a tree in any one year, right? So right here, I'm getting pretty darn close to a third, even though I know there are other branches in here that need to be cleaned up. Now, I'm gonna leave this down here. Every time I do one, I usually stack things up next to it, so I kind of get a pretty good idea as to how close I'm getting to that 1/3. Now, I got 3 of them. It was pruned here before, so I got 3 of them competing. They're all coming out of this area where this was previously pruned, right? It'll always sprout like. So if you prune something and you put your hand over it, Sobkowiak calls it the hand principle, that you're going to have a bunch of sprouts come out of there. So now you can select the one you want. I can tell this one here ain't cool, so I want to get rid of that. I already know that we've taken off a fair portion of this tree. Now, we're not going to be able to train. We're not going to do any of those things right now. We're only just kind of cleaning everything up for this first year of this thing, first year growth. So now that we got that part done, We're really not going to do much more than that. Then on the branches we keep, we're going to clear the chimney. And what that is, you could take, on me, 4 to 6 inches from here to here. So for every branch that you keep 4 to 6 inches away from that base, if there's anything growing in these parts, you want to clear that. You want to either run your glove across it or you can just snip it right off. Now we're going to move on to another tree that's going to have another different set of circumstances, and we'll get working on that one. All right, here we are, next specimen. The big thing to remember when you do this, A, don't take off more than 1/3 of a tree in any one year, okay? The LBL, low branches, big branches, and the ones that are in the line. And you want to keep somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 14 branches of the ones you do keep, and clear the chimney. Just by doing that, it was astonishing the amount of growth that we had when those things came out of dormancy. Okay, so here we are. We got another one here. We got this one that's competing for the top, but it's more than 50% times the base, so it needs to go anyway. So we're going to take that. Okay, there's one right there. That one's down. And then we got this one right here. It's a little too doggone low. Now, this is a short tree anyway, but remember, below 42 inches, I know it's growing up. It's not quite there yet, but we're going to take it because I can see it being a problem because it's way too doggone low right now. And then we got this one here. Half of it's dying. We're going to take it. Now, I've taken about, at this point, getting pretty close to 1/3 of a tree. Now I'm going to go through and select these ones. Like I said, it's still kind of early yet. I can select the ones. At this point, I can't take any more of this tree because I've already taken 1/3. So I'll have to come and clean it back up next time. So you can stay ahead of it. Just by doing this every year, folks, I know there's a lot of debate out there in the permaculture circles as to whether or not you should do a lot of the things we do. I personally don't see any problem with it. If there's a way, if it's in a food forest, then obviously you're not going to spend a whole lot of time pruning much at all. If anything, maybe you're going to prune to give something a little bit of light. But here in this orchard, and it will ultimately transform into a permaculture, a food forest. Right now in this orchard, I want to keep it looking like a serious orchard in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean these trees up. Like I said, the naysayers and the doubters, you can have your opinions. You grow your trees your way, I'll grow mine. So of the branches I keep, I'm going to look on here. Okay, it's as far as I can go. Like I said, these guys they just have basically one season of growth. Let's go on to the next one. Here we are. Got another one right here. And we got the same kind of thing going on. Now, remember, if you don't have your graft union above the surface, you're going to be having stuff sprout out all over the place. This one here, I wish I'd have saved it because it would have been a good example to show you. I've trimmed it back already. But we had a bunch of stuff, you know, like I said, somehow it sank a little bit. We were a little careless, I guess, when we put this one in. But this bad boy, it's the same thing all together. Now, here's one I don't want. Right here at that healing collar, I don't want to cut anywhere past there. I want to get it about right here. Bam. It's trimmed up. It's critical that you make sure you don't cut too close to the trunk and that you don't cut too far away from the healing collar around there. Okay, on this particular tree, this year's pruning, I mean, these trees are relatively small, so I'm not going to be able to show you a whole lot. But like this one right here, I can tell it's dead. It's got to go. Now remember, I'm keeping all this stuff near to me because I want to, once again, make sure that I'm not taking off more than 1/3. Now the last one I'm going to take is this one right here. And I'm right at 1/3. I may just be a tad over it when I get to it. It's low, and the way it's situated on there, it doesn't look real great. So I'm going to get through it, hopefully. Michelle's had these, so there's no telling how badly these bad boys were abused. So that's about 1/3 of this one. And we'll just take this little one off right here. Won't do much more than that. So here we are. Now it's going to put all of its effort through the rest of this winter, and when it kicks out of spring, just like Subkoviak said before, that when spring rolls around, you'll be shocked at how much these guys burst, because they're putting all their effort through the winter months and stuff into their roots. That's when they're doing a crap load of root growth. And that's also the time when we plant our trees. We got a bunch of bare roots we're going to see about starting to put in the ground tomorrow. So that's done. We'll go through, we'll prune all these guys, we'll get them all set up, and then when spring rolls around, you're not going to believe the growth that we have out of these things. It makes all the difference in the world. It really does. Hope that gives you a little bit of pick-me-up in this day where it seems like something of a downer. Anyway, until next time, this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. Because it is. We'll see you next time.